Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Nevarez. I am a member of the Google Maps Platform Developer Relations team specializing in agentic solutions, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. I'm going to talk about one of our showcase demonstrations from the Google Cloud Next conference this year. We call it the Day Planner Agent. The point of this demo to impress upon you three things. A, that you can build experiences that users can trust using Google Maps grounding in an ecosystem where AI hallucinations are significant risk, and we provide the essential validation layer required for the physical world, ensuring that both users and developers can rely on the accuracy and safety of your apps. Context is king. This demo is integrated into a user's calendar, specifically Google Calendar. With that additional context, you can create really personalized, powerful experiences. Doesn't have to be with Google Calendar. Any calendar data, most apps today can be integrated with. And finally, taste. Our visualization capabilities give you the power to instill taste and create wow moments for your users. The core narrative of this demo is pretty simple. You're a busy executive traveling to Las Vegas to visit some sites, and the agent is going to help you make sure your day is well planned out, that all the places are open, that all the routes are there for you, and you have enough time to make it from point A to point B. The demo itself is actually split between two screens, and the video you're going to see is going to jump between those two screens. One is going to be a Google Gemini Enterprise chat interface, as well as a visualization where you're going to see the map and the calendar and everything that the AI is doing in the background. So let's get to it.
Picture this. You've just stepped into the energy of Google Cloud Next. You need to make sure your day is squared away. So you pull up Gemini Enterprise, open the Day Planner Agent, and simply ask,
"What's my day look like?"
The Day Planner Agent gets to work. Let's take a look at what it's thinking about. Running on the Google Cloud Agent Engine, it uses cloud connectors to pull your latest calendar data instantly. Then, it taps into Agent Platform and Google Maps grounding to double-check that every spot on your list is actually open and ready for you. The agent doesn't just list your meetings, it looks to correct any problems. It notices one of your locations is temporarily closed and flags the issue. Then, it proactively helps you find a backup. You tell it,
"Yes, find me an alternative."
Using Maps grounding again, the agent scans the area for similar venues and offers to swap the new spot right into your schedule.
The Alchemist sounds good.
Once that's set, it checks in to see if you want to verify the travel times between your appointments.
"Yes, check travel times."
You give the green light, and the agent dives into Maps routing data. It looks at the real-world gap between point A and point B. After crunching the numbers, the Day Planner Agent realizes two of your events are a bit too tight for comfort and suggests shifting your calendar to give you a realistic buffer.
You approve the change.
"Yes, shift Southern Highlands."
And the agent reveals your new optimized itinerary, finally, based on what your meetings are actually about. It asks if you need any prep materials. You say,
"Yes."
And it instantly pulls together the documents and assets you'll need to hit the ground running. With the Day Planner Agent, you can start your day with total peace of mind. Your schedule isn't just a list of times, it's a plan grounded in real-world data from Google Maps.
We hope you've enjoyed this presentation of the Day Planner Agent. Have a great day.
And happy mapping.
Yeah, so that was a live demonstration we had on the floor of Google Cloud Next. Here's a look at the architecture. You can see the big blue blocks in the middle is Gemini Enterprise. That was our basically our agent platform. It doesn't have to be Gemini Enterprise. It could be any agent platform that you're operating with. Just below that, you see this notion of tools and data. So those are APIs and data sources outside of the platform itself. That's where you're going to find grounding with Google Maps. We provide a couple of different flavors. This demo can use either the enterprise version or the MCP Lite version, would be more developer version. Also in this tools and data section, I say the calendar APIs that we get from manipulating the calendar, as well as utilities that we just find useful for sort of data manipulation or other tasks that aren't as germane. Over on your far right is observability. So as the agent is doing its thing and reading the map and reading the calendar and looking up places, it's logging all of these events that we then put into a Firebase Firestore and then swing back around and use in the event viewer. So that was making what you saw with the calendar and the map flying around. That was all driven by the logging events that we saw from the agent. That observability block is also super important because you're seeing a current trend now to move into this notion of LLMs and memory and being able to self-correct based on the memory of a given reasoning run. That's where this is going to happen. Like something like an advancement of this idea would be taking that observability and tacking on some sort of batch processing that would look at it and say, hey, did you reason through this correctly? Are there better ways to approach it? And then feeding back that data into the sort of system prompts. The gray box in the middle is kind of the meat and potatoes of the agent itself. It is a ADK implementation. A lot of different agent frameworks out there. You can use yours, the one you like the best. It's fundamentally an orchestrator model, like we've talked about a lot today. And that orchestrator is equipped with sub-agents, specifically a places sub-agent, a routes sub-agent, and some additional sub-agents that not quite germane to this conversation. But those sub-agents call upon the tools and the data to create a sort of easy set of tools for the orchestrator to understand and utilize. Dive a little bit more into what we're prompting with. So this is, specifically what we're telling the orchestrator to do. First of all, we're creating a clear workflow steps. Start here, do this next, do that next, do this after that. Your end goal is to follow all these steps in the order provided and get the user to a current end state. We're using things like constraints, right? You must do that. Also, you must not do this. That's how you put in place guardrails. And we're instilling rules and checks. So like after you take this step, log the results to the observability layer. When you get this response, strip the markdown and present it, reformat it for your for the next step in the workflow. So for a demo like this, it's pretty straightforward, right? There's not a lot of guardrailing we're doing. There's not a production grade system. It is built to get people in and out in roughly 4 minutes. And it is also sort of shepherded by someone in the booth with there. So you're not going to get a lot of wild behavior from users. Obviously, in some sort of production level demo, you'd want to bake all those controls and those safeguards in to protect yourself and your agent from malicious use. So tooling, we talked a little bit about that with the architecture diagram, but this is really just to reinforce the idea that the orchestrator agent is the core agent. It is equipped with a bunch of tools both in the form of agent tools like sub-agents, as well as scripts or direct API calls it can make. User-defined tools, I think, in the nomenclature of ADK. For example, one of those tools would be the place agent, which calls the maps grounding API and is prompted specifically for places search. So the maps grounding APIs actually can handle routes, places, and weather, but we find that we get better probability of the orchestrator making the right call if you give it a very specific places agent tool and a very specific routes agent tool. Instead of saying, we'll just call the maps grounding API for routes and places, you'll find that it tends to get a little confused. It's better if you separate your concerns and give it very clear instructions as to when to call what tool. Some best practices, right? Task decomposition and context hygiene is what I just talked about. Strongly typing your inputs and outputs with robust explanatory description so it knows what its parameters that's working with. Keeping the tool count low, because as Angela mentioned previously, a lot of tools bloat the context, and you want to avoid that. Keeps your processing and your reasoning rational and on track. Also mentioned earlier today, the notion of skills can help alleviate the idea of tool bloat with its progressive disclosure. And then, give the model verification tool so it can constantly check its state, right? Sometimes the model will get confused about where it should be when, and if you have some sort of external entity that's giving it an idea of where it should be and when it should be there, it can self-correct, get itself on back on track, should it get derailed. Yeah, if you have any questions about this architecture or agentic solutions, there's a QR code.